Okay, now we are going to see how to score item 2 basing on the codes F, which we said for formation in the first video when we are starting the whole thing. Then we have manipulation 2 standing in for manipulating in item 2. Then we also have application 2. So those are the codes we use. Now, for patterns and algebra, remember here the theme is always patterns and algebra. Here, the one thing you need to know first of all is that for any variable you are going to use, you have to define it very well, because even you score on the way you have defined the variable. So I started by letting X be the number of uniform for boys and let Y be the number of uniform for girls. So this first score for the formation is for defining the variables used. So that is important there. Okay, then we come for the inequalities. You get them like that. Then for the equations, for any correct inequality, you get F1 for correcting for that inequality. For also any equation, correct equation, you get F1 for it. So there are 5, of course, these obvious ones. Then they are corresponding boundary lines. So you score them like that. Then this was for manipulation, but how do we give it? This one, because we are supposed to get 2 points on this line before plotting it. So for any 2 points on the line, so that's how we are giving that manipulation 2. Then when you come to the graph here, the title is not so important. Title is so important in data and probability. Here the title is not that important, but you can put the graph. So here, this is my graph. So the first thing we give here is first of all the scale. Someone is using a scale correctly here, and the scale here is uniform, the uniform scale. If it's leaving 2020, it's out, or 1010, whatever. As long as the scale is uniform here and uniform here, everything is okay. The second thing is labeling the line. So you have to label any line that you have plotted here, you label it for labeling. So any line labeled, you get that manipulation mark. The second thing is plotting and joining. Plotting a line, plotting and joining points, and the joining. So any line you plotted and joined it well, you had that manipulation score. So plotting this point and also joining to form that line, get the manipulation there. Then the last one here, it was, I think, shading. So any line you shaded, you had to score that manipulation mark. Of course, don't forget to label the Y and X axis. So the other one is for the feasible region. For the feasible region, why we have to, I explained that in the previous video. So M2 for the feasible region. Now, the other M2, the manipulation score for item 2 is for reading off a point. So, because it told us that we have to get the pairs that are going to maximize profits. So, reading off this point. So, this one was for reading off any point. That was for that score. Then application 2 for correctly responding using the output data, the output to either make a conclusion or decision. So here, he made a conclusion on the number of pairs he needs to make the maximum profits. Then the other formation score was for making, because we give formation for making inequalities, for getting equations, for getting objective function like this objective function. So for this number, remember this one is a composite number. So here this formation 1 was given for the objective function. I gave it for the objective function. Objective function. Then I came to, now this someone was substituting in. So substituting in the objective function, you're also getting, this one was for substituting in to the objective function. Then this manipulation 2 was for a correct output. Multiplying and adding the correct output, you get manipulation there. Then the last application was to respond to the question using this output to respond to the task. that was given. So the maximum profit for a tailor can make or can get is shillings this. So that's how I think you have to score this based on the doc I told you that we use to score. They are very detailed and very defined on where you put M2, where you put F, and when do we put AP1. Okay, so let us move to our next item. I think that is item 3 and 4.